And we're back. That's right, WCU Entertainment Review is back for a second season. I'm still your host, Jimmy, and to my right is Dylan. He's like the first day of classes. Mandatory, but just doesn't matter. Now, Dylan, you got this season started off early when you went to a thing called Magfest. So why don't you explain to people at home what Magfest actually is?
All right, so Magfest is Music and Gaming Festival. It's kind of like a convention as Comic-Con. It's a part Comic-Con, it's partly a trade show. They have expositions for new video games, indie devs. They have a showroom with a marketplace, that kind of stuff. They have lots of artists, internet culture, panels, games, lots of fun stuff, crazy stuff.
Well, that sounds fun. So let's actually show a video of your time at Magfest.
Hey Westchester, I'm Dylan Miner, and we're here at Magfest 2015. Cosplayers, nerds, and geeks, video gamers are walking through the hallways looking for fun things to do. We have concerts, music, video games, random jam fest, dancing. There was a break dance literally behind me 10 minutes ago. It was crazy. I don't know what's going on. We're gonna try and find some more fun stuff. Hello and welcome. My name is Dylan Miner, and this is Magfest. As you can see, we're at a different lobby this time. With me today is Chris from Ghost Crab Games. Now, Chris, can you tell me exactly what you have featured here today?
Yeah, so we're here with it's me and my partner Dustin. We're based out of Philadelphia, and we've got Drive to Hell, which is our first game. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter that can be played up to 4-player co-op. It's got a whole bunch of different vehicles you can unlock, different weapons, each with different attributes, 25 levels, a whole bunch of different bosses, all kinds of good stuff. And it's coming out at the end of January on Steam.
Thank you for your time. Ghost Crab Games, everybody. With me today is Jacob from Dirgeballers with their first game, Tumbleweed Express. Now, Jacob, this looks like it's a train with giant guns on it. Can you explain more, please?
Yes, Tumbleweed Express, the fastest gun in the West, is a combination rail shooter and tower defense. Now, we don't bill it as a literal rail shooter because we find it's more fun for the players to come up with that one themselves. Essentially, you are a defunct train company that is trying to make its way back into business in a world where the West has been taken over by industrial airships and outlaws, and all the little people have just been left to themselves, and you're trying to bring the fight back to them.
All right, so it's that fun kind of steampunky vibe that's been popular now, with a mix of Wild West and trains, which, if I can't say enough, need more love. Trains are cool. Let's talk about it, people. All right. So when you're trying to get this game on Steam Greenlight? How has that been going so far? And do you think you have an exact time itself when you think it'll be released?
So we're going to go full Steam into release mode as soon as we have a platform to release on, which would be Steam as a publisher. We're on Steam Greenlight, like you said. We're doing all right. It's really hard to tell how you're doing on Steam Greenlight because people kind of build up their audience and their vote count, and then they flounder, and they're like, well, what now? And then Steam hits the button kind of by surprise.
Thank you for your time. This is Tumbleweed Express, a Wild West game with trains and guns. I don't see why you don't want this. Have a good one, people.
I'm Mike Costados, and we are Golden Ruby Games. This is the exorcism. It's a game about hunting ghosts and being your own worst enemy.
Yeah, so the way the game works is every enemy in the game is a recording of your previous round. So whatever weapons you picked up, whenever you fired all that, that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with in every subsequent round because all the enemies are going to do exactly what you did. So it's sort of a game of mounting chaos.
Yeah. So we like to punish you for actually firing weapons opposed to like a lot of games, but it's kind of different in deathmatch because whoever wins gets a ghost and helps them against the other players. So it's pretty crazy, pretty fast regardless of what game mode you decide to play.
This game's going to be out on Steam as well as pretty much every major console.
Yeah, probably for about $10, so look out for us in the next couple of months.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dylan Miner. With me today is Dr. Chris Hazard. He was very emphasizing the doctor part. As you can see, we're at the Magfest staff room. We got in here secretly the last time. I don't think they realized we're not supposed to be here. Now, Dr. Hazard is the creator of Akron, a real-time strategy game, and the owner of Hazard Softwares. Yes.
Hazardous Software, yes.
Hazardous Software. Now, could you please describe briefly what Akron is?
Akron is a time travel real-time strategy game. So imagine that you can build up your forces and then send them back in time and destroy your opponents before they built their base. And they can do the same thing back to you. It's multiplayer. The grandfather paradox is a gameplay element. You can you can have a factory build a mech, send it back in time, destroy the factory, which can't create the mech, which can't go back in time to destroy it, and it oscillates. And it yields an entire plethora of different types of new gameplay strategies.
A question about the time machine. Is it a DeLorean?
Unfortunately, no. It is not a DeLorean. We have a special symbol for it. We call it a chronoporter.
A chronoporter. A little bit disappointed about no DeLorean. Now, Akron, are you also working on any other projects after Akron?
Yeah, we primarily work on serious games and strategy level serious games, and that is games for a purpose other than primary purpose other than entertainment. So for corporations, governments, and things like that, it's a way of looking at the strategy problems and helping them solve them using a lot of the lessons learned from the gaming industry. And we're also working on a few other entertainment platforms as well. One of them is sort of a Bomberman time travel game that we haven't announced yet, which you'll see hopefully some more about later this year. And we're also working on another platform called Amalgam, which will allow you to mash up different objects within the game.
Oh, thank you very much. Do you have any last comments or tips you can think of that you want to say to the people at home?
Let's see. I think gaming has will have a lot of transformative impacts in the world in the future, especially with many people growing up being actively engaged, being used to dynamic feedback systems, and I'm really curious and interested to see how this is going to change society. We've had a couple of talks recently about how so much content is being tailored towards the individual as opposed to before, about any time in the past where you had this mass media, everyone had this shared experience. Will these unique, diversified experiences bring us together or pull us apart? So it's just an interesting open question for everybody.
Oh, that's a fun one. Thank you very much again, Dr. Hazard. This is Magfest. Dylan Miner out.
Now, Dylan, that looked like a lot of fun. But I also know when you were there, you actually talked to a couple people. You got some interviews with some celebrities who were there. So why don't you tell us quickly about it?
All right, I was able to do interviews with Brent O'Floss, he does music, Tom Philp, the creator of Newgrounds, and a few other people important to the internet culture as a whole. We were also able to get an interview with the president of Magfest himself, Mr. John. He was a very fun man, but the interviews are a little bit long for our show, so you'll be able to see them on YouTube at Westchester
WCU TV. Way to go, Dylan.
I said Westchester University TV.
Well, you keep that A for effort. Anyway, we will be
somewhere.
right back to talk about the new television season, or the mid-season. And we're back with television. Now, we are here now with Erica because Dylan is Dylan. And here's the thing.
Really?
We're going to talk about the mid-season because we started the first episode of last year talking about the actual start of the season. Now we're in the mid-season. And, with mid-seasons, you get replacements, you get some new shows, and you also get some of the old shows coming back from break. And some of them are actually already back. A couple that, I know that I'm watching is first off, Arrow, still very good, very well done. Same with Flash. Flash was new this season. They've done actually a pretty good job of creating this new character, but still tying into the Arrow universe, which is pretty impressive because when you're doing like 3 shows, you got like 3 different groups of writers, and people are just changing stuff here and there. You know, another show that I think is actually kind of really cool is a show called Agent Carter. And do you guys remember Captain America: The First Adventure?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, Captain America had Haley Atwell playing Peggy Carter, and she was the love interest. And in that movie, Steve Rogers dies, and they go into this show about a year later, where she's now part of the SSR, which is supposed to be what S.H.I.E.L.D. was before it becomes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
And she actually plays a pretty cool character. She's actually like, this is probably the first time I've ever seen a woman character that's actually, you know, it's actually a standstill woman character. Yeah, she's a woman, but she's not just playing like this brutish, I'm a woman, hear me roar type of girl, but she's also not playing this, you know,
on distress,
delicate flower, you know, like that type of character. So that's actually a show. If you aren't watching it, you should.
There's nice empowerment in the
well, speaking of women of empowerment, Scandal is back as well, and Olivia Pope is definitely not a delicate flower. She is my role model, my idol. I mean, watching the first episode after it came back from break, you were literally sitting on the edge of your seat. So I'm really excited to see what the writers of Scandal do with the rest of the show.
That's true, because yeah, and that's kind of good because there's always been this kind of thing with television where a lot of these shows have been very, you know, oh, these women are either what I said earlier, the brutish or the delicate flower, and
not well-rounded characters.
Just not well-rounded, and being more well-rounded makes these shows more watchable, in my opinion, because it's actually being more inclusive.
Well, I mean, I think now that there are more prominent women roles in a lot of TV shows, it's nice to see that these characters are very well-rounded. And I mean, every girl isn't a damsel in distress or, you know, this superhero. You kind of have a mix of all of it. So I think it definitely works.
It makes me, like, with all these empowered women being brought into like movies and TV and stuff like that, makes me wonder when they're actually going to make a Wonder Woman movie.
Well, they are supposedly going to start doing that.
But they've been saying that stuff for like
no, it's actually scheduled.
Years.
They're scheduled now.
Yeah.
Because she's in the Dawn of Justice movie with Superman and Batman.
Okay.
Speaking of Batman, you also do have Gotham. Gotham is
that's great. I'm loving that.
That is
actually a great show.
A very good show because it is kind of cool because they like just had Joker on. Like they supposedly, but here's the thing with the Joker. That character's always been
he changes.
His stories always change. Like throughout the Dark Knight movie, which we all is one of the best movies ever in my opinion, but the Joker constantly changes how he became. He always tells a different story.
Yes.
And they had a guy. They said he's tying to the Joker. He looks like the Joker, but you don't know if the producers are just teasing him, and then it's going to be someone completely different. So that's kind of interesting to see where that show goes. But as the midseason goes on, it'll be interesting to see how these shows close out.
I feel that this midseason is a lot more powerful than last year's midseason. A lot of the shows coming out now, I feel, are going to get their second or their third, or are going to keep continuing. Last year, it was very worrisome.
Yeah, they had a bunch.
I feel like there was a lot of cancellations last year.
Yeah, like
there was a lot of those.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a stronger market, I feel.
That's true, and the one thing I do think that I always love about television, no matter what, even in the even mid-season, beginning of the season, end season, there's always something exciting going on.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of exciting, we got to talk about what happened at the end of the movies this summer during the break. So when we come back, we'll be talking about movies. Okay, guys. So we're back, and we're going to talk about what we did last semester on our last show about Christmas. We were talking about North Korea, and during the interview, we were talking about how there was that big hacking thing. Well, while we were away,
we were actually able to watch the interview.
Some things went down. Basically, for those of you who don't know and live under a rock, North Korea didn't take kindly to a movie where their supreme leader, supposedly, was blown up. So they basically
threatened,
allegedly, let's be workable here, allegedly had their host country had people hack into our systems and release the movie.
I think it was found out that eventually it was a Sony
insider, yeah. Supposedly, but there was also, what they also did was
kind of
threaten to attack the attack
any movie
moviegoers.
theaters.
Yeah.
Attack any movie theaters that would dare show the glorious leader.
And I mean, honestly, let's be honest. AMC, Regal Cinema, they dropped the ball here. I mean, a couple theaters did show it. They didn't have any problems. You know, I watched it on Netflix. It's a funny movie. I suggest if you're in that type of comedy, it's good to watch. But you know, I just think it was a funny thing to talk about since we referenced it last.
Yeah, and we also kind of predicted that might happen when we referenced it. I also think it was a really great publicity for the movie because people who didn't want to see it ended up wanting to see it because it was banned.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you, but just for the record, people, if you ever have a movie, a song, a game you don't want people to play, don't talk about it. Because when you talk about it, people want to play it because they go, well, what's the big deal?
On a side note, publicity-wise, if you ever get somebody to do something that you've created, you make sure that people ban it and hate it. Get negative publicity for stuff. It's the best publicity you'll ever get.
It's true.
And it was free.
You know what? I had to pay like, I think, $5 for it.
Well,
It
I
was
mean,
cheap.
the publicity was free.
Oh yeah, publicity was free.
It's true. But, you know, why don't we actually talk about what we were actually planning on talking about today? You know, big news to anybody who likes Marvel movies. The Spider-Man movie that just came out, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which we were all expecting a third, which would invite Mary Jane onto the franchise. Well, that's not happening anymore.
I wonder why.
Basically, Sony and Marvel made a deal where Spider-Man will now be in the Marvel Universe. So basically, Andrew Garfield is no longer going to be Spider-Man, supposedly. I've heard some rumors that he might be Spider-Man.
They're probably not going to bring him back.
They're probably not going to bring him
After
back.
the last two movies.
I like the last two, but I think they're going to have to restart it because
Yeah.
there's too many things. Because
It's not tied in at all to the rest of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, because you had that whole spoiler alert.
Little blood feud.
The whole end of Avengers, basically they destroyed Times Square, and it's like, well, where was Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, these two movies are combined, but where was
He
Spider-Man?
was all taking a nap in the corner.
But the thing that's important is basically now Sony and Marvel have an agreement where if Spider-Man's going to be in the Marvel Universe, if he's involved in like an Avengers movie or like Captain America movie, Marvel gets that money. If he's involved in a Sony regular movie, he's going to send all that money back to Sony.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's kind of a weird thing because there's also the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and
Marvel would kill to get those two back.
I mean, and honestly, I don't know why Sony doesn't just give them to them because they're financially not having the best of record right now. You think they would sell them off?
Yeah, Sony has been selling off a few of their companies recently. They sold off their big online games. That produced PlanetSide 2 and a few other games that some people might have played. I didn't play them exactly, but they sold them off, and it was a very large company that they got rid of. So they're dealing with some issues.
I mean, I think it would just be interesting to see how they tie Spider-Man into the movies because he hasn't been in the past couple.
They'll probably make him a brand new hero.
And it does also create the problem that you're on the, third Spider-Man?
Yeah.
You're on your third Spider-Man in the last 15 years.
Has it been that short?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man until 2007. Then Andrew Garfield took it over in about 2010. They just did the last movie, and then they were supposed to release another one in about 3 years. But I think we're going to close out the show now, guys, because I have class. So
He's a really responsible student, people.
I'm responsible. That's right. So we will be back next week, and when we come back, we will be talking about stuff such as the Oscars and also SNL 40. Anything you guys want to say before we close out?
Just very excited to watch the Oscars this Sunday.
It's nice to be back.
You don't matter.
And again, though, if you do want to see the interviews for Magfest, do check our YouTube channel.
That's true. Okay.
Jimmy's not in
That was
them.
worth talking about. Everything else you say doesn't matter.
Again, remember, Jimmy's not in them, so it's a lot better.
I think they're worse, but that's just me. Anyway,
Okay, boys, you're both pretty.
That's right. I am pretty.
Prettiest.
But he's right. They're actually worth checking out, and we will be back next week, so we will see you then.